Hi friends! So it's time to talk about the books that I've read so far this year. I think I've read 11. 10 out of 11 books are romance. Let's talk about them. So the first book I read this year was Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith. I don't have any notes on this on my Notion, so it was okay. I gave it 3.75 stars. And then we finally got to School Vacation. Excuse the noise in the background. There are like birds outside my window. We have 4 books that I read in April, starting with Happy Place by Emily Henry. I finally forced myself to finish it and I gave it a 3.75 stars. I loved Beach Read, so I expected a lot from Emily Henry, but I don't know what it was. I think her writing changed for the better. Objectively, her writing got better, but that did not mean that I liked it more. There's just something about the charm of the characters in Beach Read that I liked more, probably because I like the characters themselves, and I see the concept of Happy Place and why it could be so good, because again, it feels very character driven to me, and I did like the characters. It's just that I don't know, there was nothing really concrete enough for me to hold on to make me root for them. I don't know. Okay, it was okay. Okay, finally we get to my newest obsession. Not saying that it's anything brilliant literature-wise, but I'm just saying it'll always have a special place in my heart. And that is the Twisted series, which I started in April, and I have not finished because I am forcing myself to not finish it, because once I do, I will be so sad. This is the Twisted series by Huang, and I started with Twisted Love, and I did have a huge review that I wrote on my Notion after I read it. I read it in one day, so yeah. I rated it 4 stars, but it's like a good 4 stars. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm just gonna read my review. I expected to cringe at this book. I did. However, that did not deter me from devouring it in 2 sittings. It's such a guilty pleasure, so trashy I can't stop reading. The romance is so surface level, characters bland. Those being said, I loved it. I am so incredibly enamored by the series, its boring characters, and its predictable storylines. I ate it up every time. I predicted every plot twist, if you could even call them that, 200 pages before it reared its ugly head, and yet I acted like how I do when I watch Monica and Chandler get together for the first time. I couldn't possibly get enough of the spoon-fed writing and its men with a maximum of 3 personality traits. Now I'm reading it back, I'm like, yeah, I still agree with that. It's very like, I don't know, it's your typical trashy romance. It's just all so cheesy, and yet I still ate it up. Like, you know it's bad, you know it's not revolutionary in literature, and yet you still enjoy it so much that you can't stop reading. And now that I've read the first 3 books of the Twisted series and other books from the Kings of Sin series, all by Ana Huang, I love the characters even more. But I do prefer the Twisted series over the Kings of Sin series, even though the Kings of Sin series probably has better storylines, because in the Twisted series, I got so attached to the girl group in it. Wait, let me see if I can recall. Okay, Ava, Bridget. Oh, I only know their nicknames. Jules and what's the name? Stella. Okay. I didn't even see her name yet, but somehow when I saw Christian's name, I was like, Stella. Okay, anyway. You don't know cringe until you've read the Twisted series. But I'm not saying don't read it. That's not what I said. It may in fact just be the opposite. Like, you have to read it to understand. It's just that fun little book that you need, you know? Like on vacation, you're just reading a cheesy book that even if you were listening to its audiobook and you fell asleep in the middle of it, it doesn't matter because there's no storyline. It's just what it is. And now to my favorite book of the Twisted series. Actually, I wouldn't know, because I still haven't read Twisted Lies, but that doesn't matter because this book has the most special place in my heart. This is Twisted Games by Ana Huang. This is the 2nd book in the Twisted series. I'm gonna read my review first. I owe Ana Huang my firstborn. First of all, Reese. The name looks good on paper, but when said it out loud, Reese, as in Reese's peanut butter cups. Okay, I still have like my gripes with that name. Okay, anyway, I loved this book. Bridget is literally my European Charlotte York, and I love her so much. And Reese, ridiculous name aside, marry me right now. Costa Rica will never feel the same to me again. The way they literally changed the law to be with each other. Stop right now. I know all huang men are literal red flags, and so not my type in real life, but somehow I love them anyway. Not me literally inhaling these books. Okay, I do have complaints, which are amplified now as I'm reading King of Wrath. Huang needs to expand her vocab. She never fails to say burned a hole and any variation of the phrase death of me in every single one of her books. Not that I'm too annoyed, I won't continue though. But yeah, new couple at the top of the list. Reese over Alex. Yes, I rated it 4.25 stars. The thing is, like, I know it's just a bunch of cheesy love stories, but I can't not think about them every single day. That's true. Costa Rica will never feel the same to me again. It felt so vivid for some reason. There's just something about, as I said, Ana Huang's writing is so like spoon-fed. Like there's nothing poetic about it. She's just sort of like, this is what happened, this is where we are, this is how I feel. And yet you still feel so much for the characters. And there's always like this one location in each book. For each couple, they have like this one place. Like for Alex and Ava, it's London. And then again for Bridget and Reese, it's Costa Rica. And I don't know, there was something about Twisted Games that just felt like it was defying everything that you expected from the books. Okay, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Nothing is making sense because I can't explain the book in my own words. And it's such a simple book. It's such a simple story, and you always know the Ana Huang books are going to end in a happy ending, but you're still worried in Twisted Games. You just have to read it. If you don't want to read just read Twisted Games. I don't think you have to read each of them chronologically, though it would help if you want to really appreciate like the cameos, which I do because I love the girl friendship. It's my favorite part of the series. The fact that we like grow up with the girls, we see them struggling in college, even though they're all rich, obviously, but we see them have their own problems in college, and then they all grow up, they graduate, we watch them graduate, we feel like we're growing up with them, and they're learning how to grow up, they're learning how to be adults in the real world, and that's just so special to me. I don't know, I love coming of age, that little feeling still in the series, even though that's not the point. But anyway, as I was saying, I think you can read each of them as a standalone. So if you're to read any from the Twisted series, if you're only willing to read one Ana Huang book, make it be Twisted Games. Anyway, moving on. Last book of April, King of Wrath. This is the first book in the Kings of Sin series, and here is my review. My least favorite Ana Huang at the moment, but came off as kind of a green flag, not gonna lie. Compared to Alex Volkov, Dante Russo is a saint. I prefer their reconciliation to Twisted Love, but Twisted Games is still on top. They were kind of Control-C, Control-V, copy-paste, of Alex and Ava, but they're still my babies. I'm literally so excited for Kai. He's literally the love of my life. Still agree with that. He reminds me of Marks from Tomorrow and Tomorrow Tomorrow. I think about that book every single day as well. I don't know, I think of a lot of books every day. I read that like last year, but I can't forget about it. Okay, King of Wrath is 3.75 stars. For some reason, King of Wrath was sort of just a blur. Probably because most of the events were sort of repetitive and kind of bland to me. Like there weren't a lot of grand gestures. Unlike Twisted Games, literally like changing the law, blackmailing, like that was insane. But I did like how in King of Wrath it went from Dante absolutely hating Vivian and then it ended in him absolutely worshipping her, and I love that. I just think they're a really cute couple. That's all. I don't really have much to say. But I read their next book because I was excited about Kai. This is King of Pride. It's my first book of May. 3.75 stars. Honestly, it's my least favorite out of the Kings of Sin series so far, even though Kai is probably my favorite man from the Kings of Sin series, but not the Twisted series. Reese is always on top. That is a constant. Okay, anyway, here's my review. Okay, so probably some of my favorite people in the Ana Huang universe. Kai is my baby angel who can do no wrong, and Isabella is my frazzled queen, and I love them both so much. However, this is probably the least passionate I've been about an Ana Huang story. Though I adore the characters, the storyline itself was questionable. The thing is, nothing strong enough was keeping them apart. There was no concrete reason they couldn't be together. Alex and Ava had the lies and the brother thing. Bridget and Reese had law and reputation keeping them apart. Dante and Viv had blackmail. Kai and Issa just sort of had guilt. And I hate how they made her an heiress. Why? Please keep her poor. Not everyone has to be rich. I stand by that. Oh my gosh. Everyone has to be so rich in the series, and I kind of dislike it. But I can't stop reading. The epilogue, however, chef's kiss. Yeah, no, that's it. I can't even express how much love I have for their proposals. Wait, let me recall. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. The best proposal is still Reese's proposal. Okay, King of Pride, yeah. I still agree. Like, I'm not very passionate about their story. I still feel like there's nothing keeping them apart. Like, just be together, down, get over yourself. Easier said than done, but Unjustly characters have gone through much more difficult things. Next up, Twisted Hate. Finally, we're back to the Twisted series, and this is 4 stars. This is my review. What can I say? I'm in love with Josh Chen. Jules probably has one of the darkest pasts I've read from the Unjustly girlies. I feel so much for them. Their banter is absolute god tier. Honestly, it makes me so happy to see a career-driven couple that doesn't consist of a billionaire guy, though I'm aware Christian Harper is. I'm getting tired of going back and forth between the Twisted and Kings of Sin series, only to be met with another brooding, grumpy billionaire. Not that I hate any of them. Josh was just so refreshing, seeing that he probably works harder than any of the others. Real. Though the part where Josh weaponizes Jules' fear nearly killed me. Anyway, it makes me so sentimental seeing the college girlies grow up and come into their own careers and relationships. I love them so much. Lord knows how much I love the best friend's brother trope, Mondler, and so this book was absolute gold. Though it reminds me of King of Pride in the way that there's nothing too big keeping them apart, Twisted Hate just did it so much better and made it more reasonable. I feel for Jules so much, and she's my precious baby. She's the definition of a strong girl, and I can do it with a broken heart. But like, why do all the forms of transportation in this country have to be so damn loud? Jules is I just love her. She's so hardworking, and she's so, like, not fragile. And I'm not saying that it's bad. There's something about Jules just wanting to escape from her past and escape from poverty. I ate it up. It was so good. And I love how Josh, as I said, I love how Josh is not a billionaire. I love how Josh is just a guy trying to get by, man. That feels so much more authentic to me and so much more realistic, and we love a doctor-lawyer combo. That's all. Next we have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I finished it after, like, I don't know, 8 months. I just kept dropping it. It kept getting interesting, and then it would sort of fade again. And you could only add so many plot twists to keep it interesting until it finally just got too boring and too bulky and too tedious to read. But here's my review. It was 4 stars for me. I started reading this book like 9 months ago and only finished it now. Not that that's a testament to the quality, rather how freaking tedious it is to read. I acknowledge that Donna Tartt is an incredible author, but I also consider how much I enjoyed the book in reviewing it. Simply, I believe that it could have been much shorter. Take Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I always reference that book, I don't know. I feel like I grew up with the characters just from 400 or so pages. Nearly 600 pages is simply unnecessary. Now, the characters. Essentially, my favorite is Francis, as he's the only one I can tolerate. Even Richard at times I found irritating with his lack of backbone. Okay, I don't know if I should say this. Am I gonna get demonetized for saying this? The incest was uncalled for and absolutely horrifying. Many profound quotes, but none of which were made up for by the pages upon pages of grueling, dispensable stories within this novel. The editor ought to attend a seminar. I was promised the Dead Poets Society, but having now read it, I cannot for the life of me make the relation. All I did was complain, but it's still a book I could never write in multiple lifetimes. Like, it's still a brilliant piece of literature. It's just that maybe that wasn't my thing. Maybe the quote, grueling dispensable stories within this novel were too much for me. Like, I still agree with that. I still remember like 200 pages of ongoing daily routines, and I just could not for the life of me find why any of that was relevant. But the parts that were thrilling with a capital T, so I can see that, but it's the slowest thriller one could ever read. Next we have King of Greed by Anna Huang. This is the third book of the Kings of Sin series, and I rated it 3.75 stars. But now, looking back, I'd probably rate it closer to 4. It's my favorite so far out of the Kings of Sin series, and here is my review. Out of the Kings of Sin series, this one is probably my favorite by a long shot, though I wouldn't rate it past 4 stars because it felt so incomplete. I'm torn between 3.75 and 4 stars because it's better than the rest of the Kings of Sin series, but it's still below any from the Twisted series. Okay, so first 20% of the book already had me absolutely bawling. That's a true story. The fact that they loved each other so much, and you're given like little droplets of their past, of how Dom initially courted Alessandra. Those were just so sweet. And I don't know, we see how Alessandra's so heartbroken over the fact that she feels like she lost the man that Dom used to be. And I cried. I sobbed like a baby because, I don't know, unhappy marriages make me cry. I think Dom made like paper flowers with his bare hands, and like he made 1,000 of them or something for Alessandra, and he was like, because I don't have money to buy 1,000 roses for you yet, so I figured I'd make them instead. How could someone so thoughtful 10 years before stop even looking at you when he came home? And I understand why Alessandra snapped, and I understand her so thoroughly, but I also feel for Dom, and it absolutely tore me to pieces. It was great. They still had so much history and so much love, and that stabbed my gut. I did, however, expect more groveling, but I wasn't too disappointed. Dom is one of the sweetest Anna Huang guys ever. I think it would have been better if the book was actually longer. I just feel like there's something missing, more yearning, which would have been brought by more pages, of which it's lacking. I think this could have been so great if it were just 100 pages longer. That being said, still the best out of the Kings of Sin series. Also, Vivian and Dante had a baby! Oh. Wait, I forgot which book it was in. Yeah, it was this one. It was King of Greed, where we saw Josh and Jules, and that made me so happy. Like, seeing them together and traveling the world. Oh, everything. That was everything. Next, Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, 4.5 stars. First 60%, I was hell-bent on rating it 5 stars. Not that cheating was a trope in this book, but it's simply something I cannot stand. Even though it was a mistake, even though it wasn't meant, its presence alone is repulsive. But before all the Ross Geller-esque drama, I fell head over heels for the characters, especially Elliot, who, sans cheating, is my dream man. The dialogue, the settings, the parents, everything and everyone was just so lovable before stuff hit the fan. I loved how they were portrayed accurately, like 14-year-olds aren't babies. They've thought about that stuff, like adult things, all throughout the book, and all I could think was, how are these kids younger than me? That's true. In this book, the things they talk about, the honesty, the bluntness, that's everything I want in real life. That's what I look for in my friendships, and I found it so endearing. It was just the plot twist. It was the plot twist that I predicted, but I was dreading. And when it happened, it broke my heart because I loved the whole book. It's just that I wish that didn't happen. Cheating is probably one of the tropes that I just can't stand. Simply the fact that it was mentioned was a big turnoff. I don't like it. The rest of the book, aside from that small detail, was absolutely incredible. It's one of the best love stories I've read. And finally, book that I just finished like 40 minutes ago now, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I rated it 4 stars, but I couldn't stand to read it anymore, so I switched to the audiobook, which was the perfect choice, because I think I'll just do that for the next book, because I want to know what happens, but I don't really want to read it. I think I'll just listen to it while I crochet. First, my complaints. 1, the grammar, word misuse, misspellings, I could go on. There and there, like they are not interchangeable, and it makes the reading experience so tedious, to be honest. Honestly, like, did she get an editor? Maybe I got the first edition, like the one where she didn't have an editor yet, because oh my gosh, it was painful. 2, a Hunger Games plus Mistborn retelling. I could draw a line between each and every parallel and the entire book would be covered. True, the entire book reeks of Hunger Games. Like, Ellie is obviously a parallel for Cinna. I forgot the host's name, but I pronounced it wrong in my head before I listened to the audiobook. Is obviously a parallel for Effie. And just everything, it felt so Hunger Gamesy, but just less intense, less thrilling. You know, it's like a watered down Hunger Games. Plus Mistborn, because the revolution. Mistborn is the perfect representation of what a revolution done well looks like. Well, again, in Hunger Games there was also a revolution, it was done really well, but Mistborn is just that kind that creeps up on you, but once it does, you're like, how did I not see that? And that's what makes it so incredible. It's still impressive. I think this is her debut novel, and I would consider that pretty impressive. It was still good. The characters made me stay. Okay, why am I spoiling everything? I'm reading my review. Okay, 3, mostly predictable, and 4, Roberts is afraid to kill off likable characters. Kill someone we care about, make us hurt. I swear I had more complaints, but that's all I can recall off the top of my head. Now the fun stuff. This is slow burn, and I mean slow burn. 600 pages for barely a kiss, question mark. I love the love triangle. I didn't expect that to be a trope I'd eat up, but I absolutely did, and the fact that both Kai and Kit are so likable is everything. I wouldn't stay for the story, but the characters made me force my way into finishing at least this book. Jax, Lenny, Kai, Kit, and Pei, all I somehow root for, despite their probably very gray sense of morality. I didn't feel Adina's friendship as much, to be honest, probably because we forgot about her whenever Pei did, which is sad. If I were to continue this series, I'd probably only listen to the audiobook. I mostly stayed for the characters because I liked a lot of them. Again, it was also very cheesy, very cringe. Like, there were a lot of lines I physically cringed at. But nonetheless, it was a decent read. And that concludes everything I've read so far this year. Fantasy TBR. Okay, to be honest, I did have a list of like 9 books, but we gotta be realistic, so I narrowed it down to 3, but these are all like duologies at the least. And then we have Third of Glass here, which has like, I don't know, 8 books? I don't remember.